Hey guys, it's Charles with the Barbershop Group Podcast. I'm glad to be back with you all today, Friday. I hope that you all are having a great afternoon preparing for the weekend. I know that it's getting cold all around the country now, even in the Southwest portion. I'm glad because I'm always jealous of people who are out in California and Texas and all of those places with their warm weather. Oh, and Florida. So, Florida, you guys have fun. I know it's still warm down there, but guys. As you all know, we try to talk to men all over the place, around the world. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, American, British, Australian, Christian, Muslim, Jewish. Hey, we've got something for everybody. And today we're talking to the Muslim community. In fact, we're talking about Muslim men and those in the Muslim community because we feel like we don't do that enough. We probably should do that a little bit more. And we got some hurdles. Yeah, I'll just call them hurdles. But we definitely look forward to doing it more. Guys, before I begin, I'd like to tell you if you only follow us on Instagram, you're missing out on some wonderful articles that we publish on Twitter and Facebook. Every week, we comb through about 200 to 300 articles that we think are important for guys and those who love them, whether it's sports, mental health and wellness, spirituality, financial issues, all kinds of things out there. We put it out there just to kind of inform you. And we include a little bit of humor as well. I don't know if you guys saw it, but not too long ago, we saw a man rescue his dog from a kangaroo. And yeah, if you haven't seen that video, you got to check it out. But make sure you're following us on Twitter or Facebook as well. Okay. In addition to that, you can sign up for our alerts and updates on our website at www.thebarbershopgroup.org. So that's a little homework for you, but we know that you guys can handle it. So having said that, we'll get started. You know, guys, I love to tell stories, and I've got a wonderful story to tell you guys. But first, I would like to introduce you to our guest this Friday. We have Sister Rabab Alma. Okay, who's a psychotherapist out of Pennsylvania. It seems like I'm starting to get a lot of people on the show from Pennsylvania right now, but she's over in Pennsylvania doing some great work with individuals and couples out there. And she's also, excuse me, she's also an adjunct professor at Villanova University. So some of you guys are familiar with Villanova. I know I was always a Villanova fan back in the day, watching basketball. So that's great. Sister Rabab, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for
Yeah,
coming
it's
on.
getting just a bit, thank you. Just a bit chilly in Pennsylvania here.
Right, right. I know the
Yeah,
weather's starting to change out there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're
With the daytime savings also, the days are shorter and the nights
right.
are.
Oh man, yeah. Days are shorter, light nights are longer and
Yes,
colder, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Good.
so so yeah, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
I said I have a story to tell you guys. Probably I would say, it's 2019. I'll go back about 16 or 17 years. I'm living in New York, and I was at a mosque in New York. A lot of Muslims from all over the world, and they called it upstate New York. I don't really consider it upstate New York, but Muslims from all over the world for the Friday prayer coming in, and it was a pretty cool scene. You know, a lot of guys that I knew and stuff like that. But at the end of the prayer service, I saw something interesting. Now, I knew that every Friday or every other Friday, we would have a van filled with clients who were in a residential treatment program for addiction. Okay, they would always come out. Some of them were Muslim, some of them were learning about Islam, some of them just kind of wanted to get away from the rehab facility, right? I get it. But on this particular day, there was a young lady who was getting some of the clients into the van as they were getting ready to depart. And she was wearing a hijab, she was wearing a scarf, and she was speaking Urdu. And I was like, oh, that's cool. She's working with addictions clients. That's pretty neat because, I mean, where I was from, you didn't really see a lot of immigrant children working in social work related fields at the time. You just didn't. I mean, you saw doctors, you saw lawyers, accountants, stuff like that, but they weren't chemical dependency counselors, right? So I walked up to her to talk to her about the work that she was doing because it was something that I was interested in before I started, going to school for it, right? So she was like, yeah, no, I'm not a worker. And I was like, oh, oops. And I mean, you could hear a pin drop. I was like, I'm sorry. And all of the other Pakistani aunties who were sitting over on the side, Sister Rabab, they started to look at the girl like, mm-hmm. They really, you could tell that they had some things that they wanted to say, but instead they communicated with their eyes. And it dawned on me that she was also a client. Yeah, she was a client. And even I, at that time, being a little bit naive, was just like, whoa, you mean to tell me you're Pakistani American Muslim and you're a client in this program? Like, that doesn't happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
But
You're right.
But Sister Bob, but it, and we're laughing about this, but it does happen.
Oh yes, a lot. I mean, a lot. We don't talk about it. That's a different story.
Yes.
But yeah, it does happen.
Why aren't Muslims talking about it?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. In general, mental health issues for Muslims is like a taboo. We don't talk about it. It's a stigma.
Yeah.
Because one day I walked at this Arabic store and he said, I said, I'm a psychotherapist. He said, oh, so you work with the crazy.
Oh. Wow.
I said, no, I have a therapist myself. But I'm not crazy. I said, no, therapy is for everyone. So I started just explaining to the guy, therapy is for everyone. It's not crazy.
Right.
So this idea that therapy is for crazy, for people who are not stable, and we kind of stigmatize people and kind of put them in the corner. These people are crazy, so don't deal with them. So no one wants to be labeled as crazy.
Right.
So that's why they don't go to therapy. Plus, this image of our family is perfect. We are doctors, we are lawyers, we are professionals, we are, so no, we don't have that issues. Okay.
Right.
So that's why it's very difficult. And then sometimes I receive phone calls from people and say, no, we are a loving family. We don't have any problem. It's just this little issue that happened from the outside somewhere, somehow. But no one is actually doubting that you are a loving family. Actually, issues happen in loving families sometimes because it's too much love is going on, too much enmeshment, everyone.
Right. So no, too much investment. Oh, the stories I could tell anyway, but I won't. Sister Rabab, I gotta ask, what are some of the struggles that you face in the Muslim community as a therapist?
So first of all, the stigma. Second, boys or men should man up. So the way we are raising in general, the community, we raise our children or our sons, you need to man up. You need to be a man. Don't cry. Don't show emotions. You need to be the man of the family, blah, blah, blah. But then when they get married, why aren't you be so emotional with your wife? Why aren't you romantic? So, you raise them for 30 years to be just, with no emotions. And then suddenly he's going to be, emotional and can express his love. This is like mixed messages.
Right.
So I think it's the way we deal with emotions as if it's a girly thing.
Yes.
And it's not a girly thing because men and women, don't we all both have hearts, emotions? Because mental health is about feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. And we all have that.
That's right.
So as long as we have thoughts and feelings and then we behave accordingly, then we need to take care of that to be able to strike a balance in our lives. And that applies to men and women. Yeah. So men, for instance, you will see, women have this support group. They call each other and men don't do that. But men, when they sit together, they talk about sports, maybe women and their adventures,
Right.
maybe some cars or whatever it is, but they do not talk about their emotions because, I mean, it's not appropriate. It's not like he is not a man enough. But
Right.
you'll be surprised to tell you that I have like around maybe 50% of my clientele base are women.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see that because people are acknowledging that they have emotions, they have they need to deal with that, and
Mhm.
the best way to do that is going to a professional.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
and I have a story when someone, and of course he gave me the permission to talk about it, that he was going through some issues in his life, and he was faced with a couple of options, and then he told me that he emailed 17 therapists,
Wow.
and then he said that everyone emailed him back, and he found a way not to contact them back, but I did not email back. I called.
You call. Yes. Mhm.
So when I called and he picked up and we were talking, I was asking him questions, and then he felt comfortable talking.
Right.
And then he came, and although we talked and there was a connection on the phone, when he came and he was in his car. He said, what am I doing here? Why? I mean, he was still doubting himself. And
Mhm.
then he came in, and then maybe May, April, and 2-3 months into the therapy, and he said this was the best decision I've ever made.
Wow.
Because he saw the progress, he saw how things have shifted, his
Okay.
perception of himself. And of course, again, I took a permission. I don't talk about my clients, but this particular one, he gave me his written permission, so that's why I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
And he actually told me, I want you to share it so other men can hear that and be encouraged to go to therapy.
Right.
So it became like, for him, it's like a message. It's like he wants to share that with everyone, that yes, go, it will make a difference. It will, I mean, the his sense of self, his self-worth, everything has shifted because he has all of that, but he just needed to tap into it. He needs that
Right.
maybe safe environment to express himself, and someone to be there to witness that progress and that shift.
Yeah.
This is what we need. The minute we feel that someone is accepting us and listening and hearing us, validating our story, then we start to change,
Right.
heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Early on when I would do some mental health, like just symposiums, just do mental health talks within the Muslim community, and this was some years ago. All right. There were a lot of people who they were on the fence, Sister Abab. They did not really want to get involved. They didn't know if this was something that was permissible for them to do. They had a lot of questions from a theological standpoint. So, my question to you is: are there any religious texts out there that support therapy as a method of healing?
So I have a couple of, I did collect some texts from this. So in the Quran, if we remember that story when the Prophet was immigrating with Abu Bakr, his companion Abu Bakr, from Mecca to Medina, and they were in the cave, and he told him, it's in the Quran, said, don't be sad, Allah
Right.
is with us.
Yes.
He did not tell him, what's up with you? I'm the Prophet, man up. I mean, what's wrong, bro? He didn't tell him that. He told him, don't be sad.
Right.
He
Right.
acknowledged his feelings.
Yes.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and another, you remember the story of Moses and his mom when she put him in the river.
Hmm.
And that was, imagine that for a mother to put her baby in the river and
Right.
just send
Right.
him. And I'm reading from the verse because I just want to be accurate. It says, thus did we restore him to his mother, that her eyes might be comforted, that she might not grieve,
Right.
and that she might not know that promise of Allah is true. So here there's a couple of lessons here. So he did not tell her, you know what, I am your Lord and I told you to do so, so just listen and shut up.
Right.
He didn't say that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he actually took an action.
Mm.
He restored him. He returned him back to her.
Right.
So she does not go through grief. That means he addressed the feeling and took an action.
Right.
So, and this applies to psychotherapy. You address the feeling and
Right.
take an
And
action.
taking action. That's
Yes.
right. Uh-huh.
And throughout the Quran, throughout the text, you see that Allah and the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will tell you that reflect, think about what's happening, look
Hmm.
into yourself. That's all what therapy is all about.
Right.
Reflect,
That's right.
take, be aware of yourself. So there is no actually contradiction between taking the route of spirituality and the route of psychotherapy. From the Quran, you see that when the Prophet actually asked refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from being sad and from misery and from stress. He
Right.
did. There is a hadith about that. So he never said that, oh, you need to man up and just have faith and go and pray. Although prayer and spirituality is, and also we in psychology, we do use spirituality, but it's not the only route. When I break my arm, I make dua and prayer that I will get better, but I go to the emergency room to get
Right.
fixed the thing because I need to use my hand to write afterwards, or otherwise
Right.
I will not be able to do so.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So there is no contradiction, and that's why we need to talk more, educate more. There is no contradiction
Hmm.
between having faith and actually use Allah's knowledge, including psychotherapy, because it's a science,
That's right.
in order to get better and feel better in all aspects of your life.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think about Muslims and mental illness in the community, and we're talking about some of that, I guess, some of the opposition or maybe the confusion about therapy. How large would you say mental illness runs in the Muslim community? Is it hard to get numbers on there, or is it a bigger problem than what a lot of people like to admit? What are your thoughts about that?
So it's very hard to get numbers because of, they don't report it. But I did collect some numbers here. I would think that the Muslim community, like any other community, they have problems, mental health issues.
Yeah.
It might be different kind of problems according to the community, but they do have. So I have here some numbers from the APA. American Muslims, they have this article, American Muslims, and they did some uh, studies on the students in Chicago on Handard Center for Health. And they said, for instance, just examples, adjustment disorder. The number was 875 students, and adjustment disorder was 43%. Between the students, there were 19%. Anxiety, which is a big thing that I deal with in my practice because a lot of people have anxiety.
Yeah.
15%. Mood disorder, 9%. I'm looking at these numbers and I'm not sure because, most of my clients, I see them with a lot of anxiety. So maybe the numbers are higher than that. But again, it's not reported in the Muslim community. So it's a little bit hard. There is a website, the ispu.org. Actually, it's based of Michigan. They have some information on mental health and surveys, bullying and other kind of mental health issues. So that might give an idea. But we still need more research, more surveys, more studies on mental health issues in the Muslim community.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we'll see if we can help you all out with that. You all are listening to Rabab Alma, a psychotherapist out of the Pennsylvania area, doing some great work in the community there. She's also an adjunct professor at Villanova University, and speaks around the community about mental health and wellness issues. So, I wanted to ask you we know about several hotlines that people can call if they're in distress and going through things. Are there any hotlines that exist in America for Muslims today?
Yes, actually, there is the Khalil Center, KHALIL. It's actually based of Chicago, New York, California, in the Bay Area, and Los Angeles, and also in Toronto. So if you go to their website, khalilcenter.com, there is the main line and there is the crisis line.
Okay.
And here in Pennsylvania, we have ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America. They have the Shams Clinic, and they have certain days dedicated for mental health, services.
Right.
And it's a free service here in Philadelphia. So it seems like the Muslim community is going through that direction to provide free services, or like at affordable. I myself in my practice, I have allocated slots at lower rates for per month for clients, because not everyone can, because it's when you have a private practice, not everyone can pay the full charge.
Right.
So I think it's a good idea to pay back to the community and provide these slots. And I know a lot of psychotherapists around the nationwide that they do the same thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, to provide that for the community. Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll definitely include that information in
Yeah.
the show notes for everybody. So I've
Yeah.
got some questions that came from Muslims that I know, and then some random questions that came from through the email. One question was, how do you coax a family member? How do you coax a family member who you believe has mental illness to seek therapy? So how do you how do you trick them into getting therapy? Is
That's a
there a way to do
tricky
that?
question. So we know that people need to want to come to therapy.
Right,
I mean, no change or nothing will happen if someone is forced to do anything in life, not alone therapy.
right,
We do also acknowledge that when someone has personality disorder, that this is the treatment, you manage the condition, and people usually don't consider that they have an issue. Usually the family member drags them into therapy.
hmm,
So we need to acknowledge that. For me personally, if sometimes when you invite the whole family, so kind of address it as a family issue and try to manage it through the system,
hmm,
can set boundaries, can shift some communication skills, work on the subsystems like the couples or maybe the sisters or the siblings, in this way that you can really help them to attain some more like a healthier patterns in the family.
yes,
But also I think in general, you want to let you want to be loving, like you want to approach your family member like, I really see something is going on. Are you okay? Like, not a matter of you need to go, I see a problem and you look crazy, or no, it's like I really see you struggling or something is
right,
going on. So let's just try to figure out how to do so, how to help you, you
yes,
know? Can I
yes,
be that supportive person? You want to pick a good time to talk about that,
hmm,
and you want to maybe offer, I will look for you. I will look for you and find you someone maybe you can talk with.
right,
Maybe you can offer, okay, I will pay for it if you can do that. You can find, and maybe we want to also avoid certain words, again, not to tell them crazy, or maybe you are try to diagnose. I mean, some people will call you with already a diagnosis, like, so
yes,
will ask,
yes,
are you a mental health professional? No, but I think she's bipolar and she has whatever, and she has.
right,
So how would you get to someone when you're already telling them you have all of this? You are actually giving all the DSM diagnosis
right,
from the
right,
get-go. And
yeah,
so I think also normalizing the issue. And it's like, it's looking at it as a systemic or environmental or maybe social issue. Because,
right,
some of the stuff that a lot of the mental health issues we experience because of incidents, because of whatever happened in our life, is because of um, um, traumas. So
yeah,
this is environmental. So we need to address it in a way that people feel that loved and accepted instead of
yeah.
accused and blamed.
That's right. That's
Always
right.
about the approach.
Right. Absolutely. I think about a saying of Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani uh,
Yes,
from years and years ago, the Baghdadi scholar that he was.
yes.
He wrote saying that as long as you are in this world, you are in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As long as you are in this world, you're in a hospital. And I think that applies to every single human being on the face of the planet.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And, when you think about a hospital, we may be in a hospital, we may be on different floors, we may be in different wards, we may be taking different medications, but we are all in the hospital. And so I think that's a good thing to remember when you're trying to get somebody in your family or a loved one or a friend or coworker, whoever it may be, to go to therapy is to recognize that while you are pushing and pushing and pushing for somebody else to go to therapy, um, you could probably use a dose of it yourself. And I got to tell you, in addictions counseling, one of the things that we always find very interesting is that, yeah, you have the addict, but you also have the other family members who believe it or not, they a lot of times they don't even know that they have actually done some things, committed some actions that have impacted the addict, right?
Enabling.
They,
Yeah.
but not just enabling, sister. I mean, it's funny. One thing that tends to happen with families of the addict, when we start talking about bringing the whole family together, you'll have individuals who are like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with it," right?
Uh-huh.
And as more of the history starts to come out, you
Exactly.
figure out, oh, whoa, wait. So you were a nasty, you had bad character with this person before they were an addict. Like, look at how you've treated this individual. Okay. So you got one person who's enabled the addict. You have another person who belittled the addict. You have another person. Yeah. So we're all in the hospital, guys. Okay.
Absolutely.
Remember that.
Absolutely.
We're all in the hospital. So, you know, um, what do you think? And I know that there are Muslims out there who are struggling with things right now and they're not getting help. And obviously, you have run into situations in your practice and in your lifetime, just dealing with everybody. Why do you think? What are some of the main reasons why Muslims who need help aren't getting help today?
Some of them don't know how.
Yeah.
Some of them are so afraid. They are full of guilt, maybe, and shame. Some
Mm,
people think, I mean, and I see that a lot in the Muslim community, that, yeah, I am tested, so I
mhm.
should accept that test.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the more I'm tested, it's a testimony that I have a good faith.
Okay.
You hear it from people.
Yes.
So, um, however, I try to challenge that, because even in the Quran it says that, what do you think of your Lord? So if you think that your Lord is gonna continuously test you, He will continue testing you.
Yeah.
But if you think that your Lord will give you prosperity and health,
Hmm.
then He will give you that. You will get
Yes.
what you expect.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
And if I am not tested, does not mean I am a bad Muslim.
Hmm.
But some people view that because of sometimes some traditional teachings.
Hmm. Right.
So tests and calamities and uh, tough time is a sign of good faith.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. No.
So this is one of the things. The other one, people sometimes they are ashamed to ask. They don't know where. Some people think that they don't know they are Muslim therapists, and of course any therapist can do the job. But sometimes um, when you go to a therapist with the same background and they know their cultures, it's easier. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So, for instance, if you go to my profile on Psychology Today, I link it to language and religion, and
Hmm.
so it's easier when you Google. You will find that easier.
Right. Right.
So Psychology Today might be a way to find people in your state for the particular issue you're looking for. The
Hmm.
APA site, AAMFT, which is the LMFT, the Marriage and Family Therapists.
Right.
Um, here in the area in Pennsylvania, there are some organizations that you will see on the website, mental health professionals, and I'm affiliated with like ICNA, or there's ICRA, or
Right.
so there is this awareness. And I mean, when I do lives, I go to therapy, so I want to normalize it to people.
Right.
I go to therapy, and I will not be. If you are a therapist, you need to go to therapy to keep,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So
You got to know what you're doing, and what's you get in touch with yourself to get in touch with other people. Right.
absolutely, absolutely, because you cannot take anyone beyond what you took yourself.
Yes.
You need to continuously work on yourself to be able to help others, if you're in this mission of helping and being there for people.
Yeah.
So you can always go to your state, to the board, and look for therapists, and there are resources.
Yeah.
Nowadays on social media, there are a lot. I mean, you can look for certain, like anxiety, depression, whatever it is, and you will find some people, and you will look
That's right.
for referrals.
Yeah.
So yes, it's now it's a click away. So it's a matter of having that, and actually reaching for help actually is a sign of strength, not
Yeah.
weakness.
Yeah.
You know, to have the courage actually to be vulnerable, and you take the steps and go and invest time and money and energy and be vulnerable in front of someone you don't know.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage.
It does. It
Yes,
does.
it's a lot of respect for these people, men
Yeah.
and women.
It does. I'm so glad you mentioned that because, one of my favorite accounts of Abu Bakr and something that he said was that, he was really calling out people. He was saying, hey, look, those of you who can't show emotions, those of you who can't cry, be kind to those people who can. Okay.
Absolutely,
So,
yes.
so if you're a tough guy or a tough woman or whatever, and, you can't let those emotions and feelings out, at least be kind to the people who are getting that stuff out, right? It's
Yes.
very important. It's extremely important. Another thing that you did not mention, and I will say something about, because I know it's something that people have been impacted by, was that a lot, I think too, a lot of people were afraid of coming out about issues, because, well, I mean, what's the ultimate punishment in Islam? Hellfire. And so you think about somebody who is an addict, or you think about somebody, or any type of, drug use, porn use, whatever the case may be, right? When you combine, or you don't have enough faith and you're going to go to hell, nobody has any incentive to go get therapy at that point. you know
That's an excellent point. Thank you for mentioning it. But actually, how are we? I mean, people, how are we to say that you are going to be punished, or who you're going to go to hellfire? Or I think even with the issue with the suicide, by the way, I mean, this is a huge.
Right. That's right. Yep.
That's. I have cases of masajids refuse to do funerals.
For those who yes, die by suicide. That's right.
Imagine the trauma for the family. You
Yes.
have the trauma, and then you have an additional one.
An additional trauma. Right.
Yeah, so who commits suicide without, I mean, they have mental health issue.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we absolutely have no right to judge others.
Mm,
We
yeah.
really need to be compassionate and kind.
Right. Yeah. Somehow that gets lost. And I think, Sister Rabab, I think that that's something that it doesn't just get lost among Muslims. I think that gets lost among a lot of people who profess religious
Yes,
beliefs.
yes, yes.
I think what a lot of people tend to do is they kind of reserve that mercy and compassion for the elect few. you know and
Yes, yes.
just the elect,
Although
right?
in all the holy text, it always say that God is the most merciful, most compassionate, and He doesn't say except. There's no
Right.
exception.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That's right.
it's
That's right.
absolutely not our place.
Yeah.
We need to
Absolutely.
exercise compassion, kindness, mercy on all, no exceptions.
Yeah.
Young,
Absolutely.
old, people of faith, people not in faith or whatever. For everyone, we need to be compassionate to everyone, and
Yeah.
just let God do his thing. Is not
Right.
our thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not our specialty. Let's stick to our specialty. Our specialty in this life to be kind, merciful,
Yeah.
and be understanding to each other. And even in the Quran, it says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking to His Prophet. If you were not kind and compassionate, people will not follow you. It
That's right.
isn't that He told him that.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
if we are supposed to follow, then why can't we follow that? Follow the compassion, the kindness, the mercy, the understanding.
Right. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. We're running out of time, sister, but I do have one more question
Yes.
From our peanut gallery here, and that question is, how do you because you talk about family systems, right? So how do you break away from stigmas in the family when you need help? We have talked outside of doing the podcast just about enmeshment and codependency and all of those things. There are so many Muslims out there who are they're some of them are children of immigrants, right? And they have a different understanding of family values and how the culture is moving and what they're doing in America. And they're learning also that some of the things that mom and dad or auntie or grandmom or great grandmom or whoever did, they weren't healthy. what are some of the steps that they can take to kind of start to break away from those toxic values if that's what they're dealing with?
Well, actually, I'm dealing with that at the moment. I think it's about, first of all, acknowledging there is an issue.
Hmm.
Second, deciding that you want to break away from that.
Hmm.
Third, starting to set boundaries. Fourth, expect that there will be pushback.
Hmm.
Someone will get upset, and it's okay. I often hear it in my practice. Oh, but so and so will get upset. I said, and
Got you.
then?
Yeah.
So I think we need to take the heat.
Mm.
People will get upset in the beginning, but I think the most important thing is consistency,
Yeah.
because people will push and push and push to get you out of this new boundary that you are setting. But with consistency, you will bring them to another norm.
Yes.
And that needs support, because sometimes we doubt ourselves. Sometimes we have this imposter syndrome. I cannot do it.
Right.
It's too much. It's too much pressure. That's why I encourage people to have a therapist, a support system while you're doing that, because we cannot deny the amount or the level of the family pressure. It can be really, really high and intense.
Right. Yeah.
And we need to do it incrementally also.
Hmm.
We're not going to do from 0 to 100. We
That's
need
right.
to, so there is a process for that. And I worked with many clients around that, and they made a lot of progress, because once you put your head in something and you want to do it because for your own well-being, you are feeling that you need to break that cycle. It's not healthy.
Yes.
You have that intention and consistency, you will be able to do it. And of course, there are more into it. I'm just giving an overview, but yes, it is attainable. You can do
Awesome.
it.
Well, hey, there you go. I'm glad to know that. So, guys, you all have been listening to Rabab Alna, okay, a licensed marriage and family therapist out of Pennsylvania, guys, and she's also an adjunct professor at Villanova University. She specializes in family therapy, anxiety, depression, life, and cultural transitions. So, really important things for a lot of you guys out there listening. She's also an international life coaching consultant. So make sure you guys check her out. You can get her website off of the show notes, or you can contact her via Facebook. She's also on Instagram and Twitter, as well as YouTube. So she is out there networking, guys. Rabab, we really appreciate you spending some time with us today. It was great to be able to talk about these issues, and I hope that Muslims out there listening are willing to maybe kind of consider just delving a little bit more into this and normalizing the conversations, right? Put a little pressure on your imams to talk more about mental health, to partner with mental health specialists, or create events in the community, where people can come to the mosque and learn a little bit more, create support networks right there in your community. You don't even need a hotline in your community in order to have a support group, guys. You can do that. You can meet at the library if they don't want you to meet at the mosque and talk about hairy issues. You can go to a restaurant somewhere. There are many other places for you to create those support networks if you want that type of privacy. You don't have to do it online. Okay, those are just some things that we know we've had to do in different areas around the country. So, guys, again, we hope that you all will have a great weekend. Spend some time with your families. Take care of yourselves. If you are not working this weekend, definitely, just take a load off. Do something enjoyable for yourself before Monday speeds back around. But until next time, guys, we'll see you soon. Be well now.
Thank you.